India once again in a diplomatic bind, with President Trump once again claiming it was he who brokered ceasefire between India and Pakistan.
But I stopped the war between Pakistan and India. This man was extremely influential in stopping it from the Pakistan side, Modi from the India side, and others.
Trump once again making it diplomatically awkward for India. As Trump's statement follows hours after he dialed Prime Minister Modi, where India made it clear that there was no mediation and Pakistan requested for ceasefire.
प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को स्पष्ट रूप से कहा कि इस पूरे घटनाक्रम के दौरान कभी भी किसी भी स्तर पर भारत अमेरिका ट्रेड डील या अमेरिका द्वारा भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच मध्यस्थता जैसे विषयों पर बात नहीं हुई थी। सैन्य कार्रवाई रोकने की बात सीधे भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच दोनों सेनाओं की एग्जिस्टिंग चैनल्स के माध्यम से हुई थी और पाकिस्तान के ही आग्रह पर हुई थी।
While Trump spoke with Prime Minister Modi, he did lunch with Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir, with Munir now recommending US President for the Nobel Peace Prize for the latter's alleged role in preventing a nuclear war between India and Pakistan. At the back of these optics, domestic politics peaks back home.
President Trump 14 times has claimed that he mediated between India and Pakistan, which meant that Operation Sindoor had to be, stopped, paused, as the Prime Minister says. And he used trade as an instrument. Now, for 37 days, the Prime Minister did not say anything. Why can't the Prime Minister call an all-party meeting tomorrow or day after tomorrow? Take the opposition parties' leaders into confidence and say the same thing which has been put out today.
Congress claiming India being sidelined diplomatically, being hyphenated with Pakistan. Trump's doublespeak diplomacy. Is it time to change India's policy towards America? Drop focus on To The Point this evening.
All right, viewers, let's take that question to our political face-off this evening. Joining me, Tuhin Sinha, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party, Mr. Mohan Kumaramangalam, National Spokesperson, Congress. Mr. Kumaramangalam, to begin with you, both of you will get 2 minutes time to put your party's perspective forward, and then the fader itself will drop. Nobody will be able to hear you. Mr. Kumaramangalam, beginning with you. There has been a constant refrain that has come in from the Congress party. One thing is clear, that you've had the Trump administration that continues to test Indian diplomacy. I would think the Congress knows better, having been in power for so long, that it is a tightrope walk. Irrespective of that, constantly bringing it up, constantly attempting to embarrass the government. Is it on, sir?
Preeti, I don't think we're making any attempt to embarrass the government. We're only attempting to defend the position of the Prime Minister more than the current Prime Minister himself seems to want to do so. I mean, the fact that he went on a call with Mr. Trump, I think yesterday or today, and right after the call where it seemed that it was, at least the Foreign Secretary said that he lambasted Trump, ensured that it was clear that trade was not involved or no third party was involved in the mediation. Trump just poured water over his claims in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So if there's anyone who should be embarrassed right now, it is the Prime Minister himself. And what we're doing is not trying to embarrass him, but trying to protect the institution of the Prime Minister, regardless of who occupies that position. I think the fact that Mr. Modi has not publicly rebuked Mr. Trump at all in the last so many days since he started uttering this assertion is the fact that he's made probably more effort and I think sunk more of his political capital into strengthening our relationship with the US and keeping himself front and center of the relationship than any other Prime Minister has. As far as, the first US president ever being invited to a Republic Day parade in Mr. Obama, Mr. Modi invited him in 2015, then howdy Modi, namaste Trump, all the defense agreements signed and 900% jump in the import of arms from the US that has happened over the last decade or so. So Mr. Modi has gone out of his way to strengthen this relationship. And I think that's what's making him hesitant to actually come out and publicly basically tell Trump that he's wrong. This is not the way things are. So you have things like this phone call or things like third parties talking about the way it got done versus him actually rebuking the President of the United States openly. The other thing he's not done at all is not take the opposition, which is also part of the government. The people elect a government, they also elect an opposition. He's not taken anybody in the opposition along, attended the all-party meet, called for a parliament session to discuss this. So he's not left himself with also any forum where he could actually
So
publicly
your time's up. I want to bring in the BJP spokesperson. Mr. Sinha, your 2 minutes start now. The question I'd like to ask you is, it took a very long time for India, which was the Prime Minister, to actually tell the President of America that, listen, back off, you were not who mediated. It was Pakistan who literally begged for a ceasefire. All of that, the time that it took. Secondly, Mr. Sinha, minutes after, you've had Mr. Misri, who comes out in Hindi for the first time, make a statement suggesting in very strong words that Prime Minister practically told the President of the United States of America that the ceasefire was begged for by Pakistan, making the point clear. 10 minutes after that, you have Mr. Trump himself coming out making the same points, which follows with visuals of Mr. Asim Munir going into the White House for that lunch. And then Mr. Munir coming out, pushing forth Mr. Trump's name for the next Nobel Peace Prize, because he alleges that Mr. Trump, Donald Trump, the President of America, actually stalled or paused a nuclear war between two nuclear-equipped nations. Clearly, there was an attempt to completely embarrass India. Is it time now to change strategy vis-a-vis America?
Well, good evening, Preeti. Good evening, everybody. Modern warfare invariably involves an element of misinformation. And I think, the enemy nations have kind of outsourced that responsibility to the Congress party. I don't see any other reason why over the last 5 weeks they have repeatedly spread misinformation on the issue. And I don't think, the media should join them. Now, point number one, on 12th of May itself, when Prime Minister Modi addressed the nation, he very categorically laid our facts on the table. There was absolutely no intervention. The ceasefire was called for by the DGMO of Pakistan. And in fact, this point was also made 1 day before at the DGMO press conference. So if the Congress party chooses to believe America over us, that's their problem. Now, let me just read out a tweet of Mr. Trump on, a tweet dated 1st January 2018. It reads, the United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking that our leaders are fools. Now, it is, if America today decides to take a 180-degree turn and, fraternizes with Pakistan once again for whatever reasons, I think the people of America should be worried. Why is the Congress party so worried? Of course, we are vigilant. We are vigilant to the changed dynamics, but I don't think this Congress party really understands diplomacy after being out of power for the last 11 years. And finally, if they are so confused about how the ceasefire happened, they just need to pick up the call and speak to Shashi Tharoor, who must have, at least on half a dozen occasions, made it very clear that it was Pakistan which begged for ceasefire. And this point was also made in front of J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance accepted this point. Equally in front of other US leaders, which the delegation traveled to, the same point was made. So I think the Congress needs to behave a little more maturely instead of spreading misinformation continuously.
But one would, Mr. Sinha, I'll circle back to you, because one would think that it's not about the people or, back home who need to be told off. It's America who needs to be told to back off. So are we actually looking, as we are looking at a new normal right now, where terror with Pakistan is concerned, a new normal, Mr. Sinha, with our relationship with America? I'll circle back to you, sir, because I want to bring in Mr. Kumaram Mangalam, and there was a point that Mr. Sinha made, Mr. Mangalam, and that has credence. Why is all of this happening? Congress is not green behind the ears where diplomacy is concerned. You've handled it for a fair many years, way more than the Bharatiya Janata Party or the NDA. The fact is, we all know why America is speaking the language it's speaking, why there is bonhomie with Mr. Asim Munir, keeping in mind the Iran context, especially with Pakistan sharing the borders with Iran. So, we know why it's happening. Then to leverage political mileage and try and milk it back home, unnecessary, no?
Preeti, I don't think it's unnecessary to protect the honor of our country on the international stage at all. I mean, yes, I'm sure the US has its geopolitical interests, but I don't think this started with Iran. I mean, after 2021, when the US completely exited Afghanistan, they started to rebuild their ties with Pakistan. They were instrumental in helping Pakistan secure IMF bailouts along the way. In fact, in 2022, the US actually approved a $450 million F-16 sustainment deal in Pakistan. So they have been slowly, and in 23-24, they even had talks in Washington on energy, trade, and diaspora cooperation. So the US has steadily been re-engaging with Pakistan. Clearly, this government has not been vigilant enough to it, or has gotten caught up in its own hype of the several diaspora meetings that the Prime Minister has done in the US. What we are asking for is not a clarification for us. We are very clear on the fact that we trust the DGMO, we trust the army, we trust our Prime Minister as well when he says that it was India who got the ceasefire done and there was no mediation. But we want
Okay, so,
the international world and saying that the US president
Okay, I want to go to
dead.
Mr. Tuhin Sinha. I want to bring in Mr. Tuhin Sinha into this. Mr. Tuhin Sinha, the question that I asked you, when we speak so strongly back home, it's practically preaching to the choir because we're all one with you is what the Congress says. And I'm giving you Congress's perspective. Why not use the same amount of aggression to tell America to back off?
Well, if you followed, the 4-minute video of Mr. Masri, the Foreign Secretary of India, I don't think there can be anything more categorical than that. Please understand that if Trump decides to tweet, if Trump decides to use his social media platform, we are under no obligation to use the same media. We have on equal number of occasions made our point very clear, including in 33 countries which our delegations travel to. Beyond that, if somebody decides to talk about it 14 times, I think the Congress needs to apply its mind and ask the same question. Why was the same person not able to draw a truce between Ukraine and Russia? The Congress seems to be unduly enamored of Trump, but I think, they need to get a little more real and just speak to their own leaders and get the right perspective. I don't think we have answered it. We have answered it enough number of times, but we will choose our own media. Please also understand that this conversation between Prime Minister Modi and Trump happened after 22nd April. So the two of them had not.
Okay. All right. So I appreciate both you gentlemen for joining us. What's really interesting is where an affinity or affection for Trump is concerned, it all depends on timing, isn't it? But we're going to leave it at that. I appreciate both you gentlemen for joining us. Thank you there for joining us. The news continues.